Republicans are outraged. Last night, there was special elections across this country, and Democrats did fairly well. Republicans wanted to do better, but, Democrats were able to win. Ohio, for instance, constitutionally enshrined abortion. But here's the funny thing. As everyone keeps screaming to fire Ronna McDaniel of the GOP, and I don't disagree, Democrats are still panicking. Democrats are still worried. You guys, I got to tell you, I am not surprised Democrats did well at all. It's an off election year. Republicans are not nearly as motivated in these issues. Democrats, having lost many political battles, are much more animated, and it is what it is. Right now, we have numerous articles coming out talking about how Trump is winning. Trump is going to win. And despite the fact you have many pro-DeSantis people saying Trump can't win, even the Democrats are concerned Trump can. Here's what matters. First, culture, as I always say. But when it comes to politics, what I need to warn you of is they may be trying to trick you. We know that the media coverage of Donald Trump is 93% negative. Yet how could he be doing so well? Well, the polls were wrong yesterday. And it's possible that they are pumping up Trump because they want you to think he will win and you have nothing to worry about. Now, I certainly do think Trump can win. I think you can't have all of these polls being completely wrong to the degree that they would need to be. That is to say, look, man, when I go and talk to people, there was who was it? Was it Chase Geiser on the show? Was at a restaurant and the waitress was like, I voted for Biden, but man, he sucks. I can't vote for him again. And I've heard that over and over again from a lot of regular people. No, I think the polls are correct. And even though Democrats did well in these special elections, it ain't going to mean a whole lot once we get into the 2024 cycle. But there are some things to consider. Donald Trump may be a convicted felon. Not that I think he actually did anything wrong, but that's where we're going. NBC News put out this story. Trump's rivals say he can't beat Biden. Polls say he can. Before we get started, my friends, support our cultural endeavors. Go to timcast.com. Watch the new documentary by Lauren Southern, Infringed. It's a very expensive production. We hope to break even, make our money back, and then make more of these. This is a documentary discussing your right to keep and bear arms. It is absolute advocacy for gun rights, in my opinion. Human rights, we should call them. And your right to keep and bear arms. But we're doing a massive ad campaign. Huge. So we've already got $100,000 dedicated to ads on this one. We're going to be promoting content across the board on social media. And the ads themselves, that's the point. They're advocacy. So at the very least, that's what we get. That's what we get. But we're hoping we can break even. Click the link in the description below. Watch the documentary. Let me jump to this story from The Intelligencer. The special elections tell us nothing about 2024. Democrats have a Biden problem, not a party problem. It's an interesting argument. In fact, Jonathan Chait's basically saying, look, if Democrats can win, then that means we're doing all right. If we're winning yesterday, then Democrats should win in 2024. No. You see, Biden is so gosh darn awful that Trump is actually polling ahead, not because people like him better, but because Biden is just so nuts. Broken brain Biden, I call him. And a lot of people are saying that Republicans should desperately want Joe Biden to be the nominee, and they should. But that's why I don't think he will be. I think it's going to be someone else. Let's read a little bit, and then I'm going to pull up some criticism from the pro-DeSantis side as to why they think Trump is facing serious risks. I believe they are wrong. Here's the real risk before we get into anything. The real risk is that Democrats actually switch out Biden and Kamala for somebody else. That's the real risk. Chait writes, the Tuesday night election results supplied more evidence that the U.S. is not in the middle of a period of great political reaction. Despite President Biden's deep unpopularity, the Democratic Party is doing just fine, winning off-year races in Virginia, an abortion referendum in Ohio, the governorship in deep red Kentucky, and several lower-level school board races that have been drawn into the culture wars. I need to ask everybody to honest assessment. In Kentucky, Republicans sweep except for the governor. Why? Serious question. Why is that? Now, I know a lot of people on the right are saying, oh, it's because Democrats cheat. Come on. If Democrats were cheating, they'd win everything, not just one race, right? So the question is, why the governorship? Some are arguing that the Republican nominee was endorsed by Trump and people don't like Trump. I don't buy any of that stuff, man. I don't think the average person cares enough about it. But serious question, comment below. Here we go. But the Biden campaign is using the results to make an even broader point. The election results show President Biden is actually not in trouble at all. Quote, in hundreds of races since Trump's conservative Supreme Court appointments overturned Roe v. Wade, we've seen Americans overwhelmingly side with Biden and Democrats' vision for this country. Biden campaign manager Julie Chavez Rodriguez declared Tuesday night. That same choice will be before voters again next November, and we are confident the American people will send President Biden and Vice President Harris back to the White House to keep working for them. Yeah, I don't buy it. It may well turn out that Biden can beat Trump next year, and I obviously hope he does, says Chait. But the Democrats' performance in the off-year elections and in recent special election victories don't actually tell us that. The most simplistic account for the Biden campaign is that the election results show that polls are inaccurate. Voters vote, polls don't, claimed Biden in a fundraising email last night. Except the polls predicting last night's elections results were accurate. The same coping strategy appeared following 2022 midterm elections. Democratic partisans have repeated their claim that polls showed a red wave that didn't materialize. That's not true. The polls were fairly good. It's just that reporters and analysts disregarded the numbers and predicted a red wave that would occur anyway. If 2022 tells you anything about polling, it's that you should take the numbers more seriously and the vibes less seriously. Meanwhile, the Democrats' run of success in a non-presidential election may be less indicative of presidential election success than their hopeful spin suggests. As the party has grown stronger with college-educated voters and weaker with non-college-educated voters, one effect is that its coalition is now better in lower turnout environments, as political scientist Matt Grossman notes. That is the point. Nobody cares about these off-season elections. Nobody's paying attention. Most people didn't even know there was going to be elections yesterday. I only found out about it within like a week or so. I didn't even know within the past couple of weeks that there was going to be special elections. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, are you getting ready? I'm like, really? There's elections going on? I don't know that. I mean, I live in Kentucky, and we're not having anything out here as far as I can tell. I could be wrong. Could be wrong. The reality is, people want to win the big races. Now, it is important you get local. Seriously, you should know about these races. You should. And every single person who wants to help save this country or make America great again should be voting in every single election. But it's hard to keep track of them all. It really, really is. So we need that grassroots activism. But let's take a look at where we're currently at. 2024, Donald Trump is currently winning. Let me pull this from the New York Times. Trump indictments haven't sunk his campaign, but a conviction might. So saith the New York Times. Perhaps. Let's do this. We got this big thread from Will Chamberlain talking about the real risks that Trump faces. Sebastian Gorka is fairly perturbed, but let's start from the beginning. Excuse me. In a tweet, Will Chamberlain says, we're having a really bad night. But we're sure to do better if we nominate a guy who will be a convicted felon on election day. All right. Sebastian Gorka says, you're an a-hole, Will. And you've just demonstrated your tacit acquiescence to the judicial persecution of the president. I regret ever giving you a platform. I will not make that mistake again. You and your ilk still have no idea what America did in 2016. Good riddance. Okay. Will responds rather tactfully. Before I read the response from Will, which makes a great argument as to why there is a real risk facing Donald Trump and all of us who want Trump to win, I will point out the DeSantis campaign is the worst campaign, and DeSantis may be the stupidest politician we've seen in our generation. Cue the whinging from DeSantis people. Why? Why is it that Timcast IRL has numerous guests ranging from moderate to conservative who have expressed to me in private they don't understand why the DeSantis campaign is attacking them? Now, of course, the DeSantis people are going to be like, Tim's lying. He's full of it. That never happened. Yeah, okay, dude. Look at Mike Cernovich. Look at, I don't want to call anyone else up, but Mike Cernovich has been public about the DeSantis campaign. Look at the tweets they put out. Look at Jack Posobiec. Look at the tweets from DeSantis' press team where they insulted, I think it was like 30 or so moderate to right-leaning individuals who actually liked DeSantis' campaign policies. And there were people they put a fake quote and like they were insulting me on this thing. And I'm like, I didn't even say anything about DeSantis. You know what? That's what it is. The reason why I say he may be the stupidest politician is that despite all of his political victories, the dude has a social ineptitude that I've never seen in a politician at this level. And that's me. I'm not the oldest guy in the country or anything like that, but, in my lifetime, DeSantis should have fired his campaign staff. He should have fired Christina Pershaw, Brian Griffin, and Jeremy Redfern. And the fact that he has not been able to do so shows so much. And I will say this. The fact that, it's my understanding, Will Chamberlain, he is I thought he was working for the DeSantis campaign. I don't know if he still is. But the fact that Will Chamberlain is not running DeSantis' campaign is the perfect example of how stupid this man is. This is, from Will Chamberlain, one of the most intelligently crafted arguments in support of DeSantis, showing the risks Trump faces. And I agree with him. Unfortunately, Will, as much as you are an intelligent individual, for which we have our disagreements, Will's also a good friend of the show, they should have put you in charge and they didn't. So you can make every point in the world about how you think DeSantis is the guy to beat Trump. And I can only turn around and say, Will, I'm sorry. If that were true, you would be running his campaign. And the fact that the most articulate response in support of DeSantis, which makes the most sense, the fact that you crafted it and you are not running his campaign, and they could have had you doing it, is everything that I need to know. Ron DeSantis is too stupid to be president. Maybe he wins, fine, so be it. But Ron does not have he's like Forrest Gump in it. You know what I mean? Ron has enacted a bunch of great policies with the help of the Florida state legislature. We very much appreciate what Florida has done. Lots of people want to live there. But it's not just the governor. It's all of the people around him and the votes and the people who moved there. Ron needed only say one thing. I don't understand why you're going on social media and just attacking our voters. Just stop. Otherwise, you're fired. And then when his stupid campaign press people kept doing it, he should have said, I'm getting rid of all of you. Will Chamberlain, you're in charge. Here's the tweet. Will says, I made a point of not attacking pro-Trump influencers, especially ones who I've been friendly with in the past. Very smart on Will's part. There's a number of reasons for this. For one, I strongly supported Trump in 2016 and 2020. I see Trump supporters as part of my wing of the party, America First wing, even if I'm supporting a different candidate in the primary. And when the general comes around, we're all going to be back on the same team again. For another, I think it's tacky. I'm going to continue that here. Seb Gorka, I have no interest in lobbing personal attacks at you, even given your intemperate remarks towards me. I don't dislike you personally. My point. Trump is going to be a convicted felon and will drag down the GOP next November is descriptive. It's not normative. I don't want Trump convicted. He still has a substantial chance of being the nominee. I want Republicans to win. I want Democrats out of power. I want the lawfare to stop. Trump being convicted is bad for Republicans and bad for the policy outcomes I want achieved. And aside, this is me saying it, it's bad for the country, the fact that it's even happening. But winning requires grappling with reality. And the reality is that Trump is an anchor on the party weighing it down. The last time we won an election was 2016, when Trump was facing a hugely unpopular candidate who had her own legal problems. Remember the emails, the October surprise of Comey reopening the investigation? That dragged Hillary down. Well, we're about to see that dynamic, but 10 times worse. The D.C. trial starts in March. Trump has no hope of an acquittal. Now with the D.C. jury, I agree. And a rabidly partisan judge, the appeals process won't proceed quickly enough for him to have any adverse trial rulings tossed out before Election Day. So he's going to be a convicted felon by Election Day, most likely by June. What does it mean if he were to be the nominee? Well, first and foremost, he could simply be incarcerated. Once he's convicted, Judge Chutkan, who hates him, could simply remand him into custody. Alternatively, if she felt like being generous, and why would she? She could simply restrict his travel pending sentencing. No rallies, no GOTV efforts. Biden chose to run a basement campaign. Trump, in the best scenario, will likely be forced to do so. And that's just the one case in D.C. Trump will likely be sitting in a defendant's chair during most of the general election campaign. What's the plan to win, given that reality? What's the plan to avoid a complete landslide? Is there one? You criticize me for acquiescing to the judicial persecution of the president. That's just wrong. I want the next Republican president to pardon Trump and everyone else caught up in the ridiculous lawfare. But to do that, we must win, and burying your head in the sand is no strategy at all. Now, ultimately, I agree with a lot of what Will said, but I got bad news for you, Will, and I'll say it again. Such an articulate, well-crafted response, creating a very logical and non-petty response. Sane, rational, reasonable, not overly emotional. That's how you win elections. That is the tact we hope Ron DeSantis would bring to the Trump campaign as VP. We hope that it would be Trump DeSantis 2024, Trump the hothead, but DeSantis the normalizing factor. Instead, Ron, someone whispered into his ears that you delist Ron, you can be president. I like Ron DeSantis. I think policy-wise, he's fantastic. But I am offended by his campaign staff's absolute inability to muster any support to win a primary. I'm sorry. If you are so daft, so tactless, so insanely stupid, you can't win a primary, good. I hope you lose. I'm sorry, man. Look, I see all of this politics stuff, and I learned a long time ago. Culture is everything. And Breitbart knew it. Politics is downstream from culture. So we can sit here and whinge about polling numbers all day and night, but that is the stupidest thing ever. There's two things we need to win. One is the election. I guess what do you call it? Like election fair. War electioning? I don't know. They call it lawfare. Election lawfare. You need to win ballot harvesting. You need to win rule changes. You need to win eligibility requirements, whatever it is you got to win. You got to do everything you can to maximize the number of votes you receive. It's not about convincing people. More importantly, you need to control the culture. You need to make it so that Democrats are scared to say they voted Democrat. Right now, Trump supporters are scared to say they voted Trump, and it's been that way for, come on, since 2016, 7 years. Democrats should be embarrassed to say they voted for Biden, especially right now. So if you ever talk to someone and say they voted for Biden, say, oh man, yikes, I bet you regret that one. I feel bad for you. Hey, this guy voted for Biden. Make them embarrass them. So you actually voted for that guy? I mean, come on, I understand not voting for Trump, but voting for Biden? Wow. Make them feel that. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I think Will makes a great point about the convictions. But these are unprecedented times. Just because Trump is being targeted by this legal machine does not mean DeSantis can win. I'll tell you, let's play a game. Donald Trump, his scenario is they've attacked him, they lock him up. That means nothing for his policies. But the American people may outright be like, I'm not voting for a felon. Perhaps. But let's entertain a Ron DeSantis 2024 campaign. Oh, this is going to be fun. Let's say DeSantis somehow wins the primary. And then they're at a big national rally, election rally. I'm leading the great American comeback. And here's my campaign manager who comes out and goes, you're all a bunch of morons. I can't believe how stupid all of you are. You're so dumb. That's their whole campaign. I'm not kidding. Holy crap. Ron DeSantis's advocates, like his influencers, their whole shtick is to insult you, even if you agree with them. There was one instance where something happened like a month or two ago. I can't remember what it was. And I was like, Ron DeSantis did a good job on this one. Got to admit. And then they have these campaign circuits insulting me over it. And I'm just like, I'm sitting here laughing, being like, this is why Ron will never be president. Because he's a moron. And they get all salty and Bennett Shea like, Dave's so mad. He's so mad. He's calling Ron. Ron's a moron, dude. I'm sorry, man. You can't be having your people like Will. Why aren't you running the campaign? Will Chamberlain was working for DeSantis. It was big news. There was concern over when he moved to work for the DeSantis governor's office or whatever. How is it that this dude can be so tactful and articulate and make a great argument, yet they sideline him? It's because they want DeSantis to lose, and DeSantis is too stupid to realize it. Or DeSantis is too stupid to get a good enough team to actually formulate a real campaign strategy. I'm sorry, dude. It's delusional. It's just delusional. When I hear these like prominent personalities saying Ron is going to win and he's on track, I'm like, y'all live in la la land. You're going on Twitter. You're screeching like banshees at people who like DeSantis, and now nobody can stand you. We had, it was Bill Mitchell and Laura Loomer. And I asked Bill, like, he's a DeSantis guy, like, okay, here's my question. Why are DeSantis' press people attacking me and insulting me? And he goes, Alex Brusewitz said this. I said, I don't care. Why are they attacking me? Well, Laura Loomer, she said this. Dude, I swear to God, I don't care about Loomer. I don't care about Brusewitz. Tell me why they're insulting me. You see, my only thought is they're intentionally sabotaging him. Now, anyway, ranting about DeSantis. Here we go. Because it's the only way they get him attention, but it's soured everybody on him. You know, even Luke Rudkowski was cheering him on. Is now like, hey, don't look at me, man. Trump indictments haven't sunk him, but a conviction might. Maybe. But what else is there? You really think this is an argument for DeSantis? Sorry, I just don't see it. I don't. What I want to say with all of this, despite the GOP primary nonsense, which doesn't matter, Trump's going to win. I don't think anybody should be concerned about yesterday. Nope, you got to stay the course. Keep building culture. Keep winning the culture war. Make content, make music, make cartoons. Mock the people who voted for Joe Biden. Hey, be like, look, you can at least vote for RFK, but Biden, are you nuts? Whether Trump will win, yeah, whatever, man. Joe Biden, win the culture war. Make it embarrassing to vote for Democrats. And then we're going to win. I don't know how much any of this matters. It's unprecedented. You can't just come out and say Trump is a felon. Hurts him. We don't know. We'll see. I'll leave it there. Next segment will be at 4 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.